Hello out there, watchers and listeners, Phobos Media here, and I'm officially starting something that I should have done a long time ago. I'm speaking directly to you. I've spent 2 years writing these videos as though I were a documentarian, and I love doing that for a lot of reasons. It allows my research to speak for itself, it keeps me impartial, relatively speaking, and the end product is neatly packaged and it's easy to digest. It has the added benefit of taking the emphasis off of me and placing it on the mysteries of space. Now, however, I find myself really wanting to branch out and make videos in a more personal format. I want to be able to say things that I would never say in my documentary videos, like "I," and "in my opinion," and "hi everyone." And I also want to occasionally talk about subjects that aren't directly related to space, or UFOs, or aliens, but those are going to come with time. For now, I'm just going to use the format to talk about something that is kind of silly, but also pretty important to me. The Earth. More specifically, the shape of the rock that we call home. Yes, today I want to talk about flat Earth theory, and why I believe it to be completely wrong. Now, if you're a flat Earth believer, you may be tempted to just stop the video here and unsubscribe from my channel, and you're welcome to do that. Well, Phobos has been drinking the globehead Kool-Aid, and now he's going to make fun of me and everything I believe, just like the media and academia and every other YouTuber who talks about this subject. But that's not what I'm going to do. This video is going to talk a little bit about flat earthers, but it isn't an attack on them, either personally or even on really what they believe. I'm not here to claim that you're dangerous or stupid if you believe that the earth is flat. I'm not here to point and laugh or to claim that I'm smarter than you are. I am simply here to share the reasons why I personally believe that the earth is not flat. I like that people have different ideas. And I feel like if you truly and honestly believe that the earth is flat, or hollow, or a donut, it's not hurting anyone. I'm not offended if you don't agree that Earth-chan is thick and voluptuous. However, I also love discourse. One of the best parts about disagreeing with someone is talking to them about it. This age of information, social media, and herd consensus that we live in seems to discourage this type of discussion. Instead, it's encouraging us to all ignore that which we disagree with and stay within the comfortable boundaries of our respective echo chambers. Not only is that a poisonous way to think that isolates you from potentially learning new things, but it's also really boring. So I decided to make this video, and in order to do so, I had to dive down the rabbit hole that is flat earth theory. And here is some of the things that flat earthers believe. Flat earthers believe that the earth is a flat disk, obviously, surrounded by an ice wall and covered on top by some sort of dome. The ice wall supposedly keeps water from flowing over the edge of the earth. The sun and the moon, they claim, are about 40 miles across and located something like 3,000 miles above the earth within this dome, and they're rotating around each other at regular intervals. They believe that the setting of the sun is due to proximity and not physical obscuration due to rotation around a sphere. Among the most controversial claims made by flat earthers is the idea that gravity just doesn't exist. Spoiler alert, I still was not convinced that the earth is flat. However, I did gain a lot of respect for flat earthers that I didn't think I would and didn't have before. First and foremost, flat earthers are on the receiving end of a tremendous amount of hate, both online and in the real world. We live in a polite society, one that is desperately afraid of offending people or hurting feelings. Oftentimes, challenging other people's beliefs is considered rude and distasteful. This is absolutely the opposite of the case with flat earthers. That polite society will very quickly turn into an impolite mob when enough people have decided that what you believe is wrong or stupid. The echo chambers and hug boxes can very quickly devolve into bustling cesspits of vitriol and petty insults. And if there were ever a group of people that the majority of society has deemed are okay to offend, it is flat earthers. Oftentimes people who insult flat earthers online don't even really understand the science of why they believe the earth is round. They simply see that it's socially acceptable and even popular to insult flat earthers. If you ask any one member of the mob, what is the average curvature of the earth? I'd say that there's a good chance they won't be able to answer you. It's roughly 8 inches per mile squared, by the way, 7.98 inches per mile squared to be exact. This is just another example of wanting to reap the social benefits of being correct without actually learning the knowledge that proves one is correct. The flat earth sphere, can be just as hateful with their comments, obviously, but in my experience, I've found that it's never a great idea to meet insults with insults. For that reason, this video is simply a collection of some of the reasons that people believe in the flat earth, and the reasons why I don't believe those reasons. I'll start with some of the simpler claims. And this video is going to cover some of the physical reasons that lead some people to believe that the earth is flat. However, there are reasons that I can't really address because they're almost completely centered around trust, or lack thereof. Mostly distrust in the government, NASA, and others who have been deemed in on the deception. Simply put, flat earthers really do not trust NASA or the government. And this is something that we have relatively in common, to be honest. If you watch my other videos, you know that I don't always agree with NASA's tendency to dismiss questions, or even hard evidence, in the name of their narrative. There isn't much I can say to make flat earthers believe NASA, and so I'm only really focusing on hard claims that are made through flawed observation. Possibly the simplest claim that some flat earthers make is that water will always seek a level. To them, this means that if the earth were truly round, water and assumedly all objects on the surface would simply run down the sides. There are countless videos of people pouring a glass of water on a beach ball, or other such sphere, noting that the water does not stick and simply falls off of the sphere. They then claim that this proves that the entire idea of a globe Earth is physically impossible. The reason that I believe this to be flawed logic is that they're not taking into account one very important factor: gravity. According to modern physics, larger objects have a larger gravitational force. If you place a small ball on the side of a huge ball like the Earth, that smaller ball is being affected by the gravity of a much larger ball. So the beach ball is being pulled toward the Earth by the same gravitational force as the water. Hence, when you pour the water over the beach ball's gravity is negligible compared to the gravity of the Earth. The water is pulled by Earth's gravity to a gigantically larger degree than it is being pulled by the gravity of the beach ball, and it simply falls off the sides of the ball and onto the ground. When you have something with as much mass as the Earth, it has more than enough gravitational force to capture and hold the oceans. Which leads me to another relevant claim that flat earthers make, which is that gravity simply doesn't exist. Apparently, flat earthers believe that gravity can be explained via density and buoyancy. According to flat earth theory, humans stand on top of the Earth because they are lighter than the Earth, and the atmosphere floats above humans because air is lighter than humans, and the fundamental physics of this really do check out. That is how density operates. But it's how density operates under an entirely different force: the force of gravity. Without another force pulling on these objects of varying density, they have no reason to organize themselves in this light up, heavy down fashion. Without gravity, there is no up or down. Another claim made by flat earthers to support their beliefs is that simple observations can dispel the idea that the Earth is curved when compared to the 8 inches per mile squared figure for the curvature of the Earth. They claim that this can be demonstrated in an extremely simple manner, by finding a long flat road and having your buddy jog out 2 miles with a traffic cone that is 1 foot in height, placing that traffic cone on the ground. According to the 8 inches per mile squared figure for the average curvature of the Earth, the curve should drop 2.67 feet over those 2 miles, because 8 inches times 2 squared equals 32 inches, or 2.67 feet. With this equation in mind, you would think that you wouldn't be able to see the cone from 2 miles away, because it is 1 foot high, and the curve of the Earth at that distance is more than twice that. However, astonishingly, you will still be able to see that foot-high traffic cone from 2 miles away. Flat Earth believers then claim that this proves that there is no curvature to the Earth. However, the reason that I believe this to be incorrect is that the 8 inches per mile squared figure is not taking into account the height of the observer, as it is only meant to explain the average curvature from a point directly on top of the Earth's surface. In order for the entire 2.67 feet to be obscured by the curve, your eye level would have to be directly on top of the Earth. You'd have to be very short, or have frighteningly bad posture for this to be the case. A 6-foot-tall person would need to be standing 5 miles away for 2.67 feet to be obscured by the curve. If you're 6 feet tall, your friend would have to jog out 4.3 miles for the 1-foot high traffic cone to be completely obscured by the curve of the Earth. It's also worth it to mention that 8 inches per mile squared is not the true figure for the curvature of the Earth. It's actually a simplified figure for the average curvature of the Earth, and it breaks down over very long distances. However, it is still completely accurate at the short distances like the ones that I'm using in this example. And now I think I've saved the best for last, because those who believe that the Earth is flat claim that an irrefutable way to prove that the Earth is flat is by observing something that many believe disproves that the Earth is flat. And I'm talking about the solar eclipse. This one is possibly the claim that will throw you for a loop, at least momentarily. Flat earthers claim that the shadow of the moon is too small to be the true shadow of the moon. The path of totality, or the path of the shadow of the moon during the eclipse, is only between 70 and 200 miles wide. Flat earthers claim that if the moon is 2,000 miles wide, there is no way the shadow on the Earth can be this small, as they claim that a shadow can never be smaller than the object casting it. This is not a very solid claim, however, as the path of totality is merely the umbra, the area of the starkest shadow contrast. The penumbra is the area where the shadow is much weaker, even so much that it isn't noticeable as a shadow, and it is in fact so large that it can cover North and South America, as observed during the Great American Eclipse in August of 2017. This means the shadow cast by the moon is in fact wider than the moon itself. This is where I get to throw some of my own footage into the mix. I recorded a video of myself using a piece of paper, a ruler, a dime, and a work lamp that I use when I'm drawing. What I did was very simple. I just had the lamp in the usual spot suspended above my desk, turned on, illuminating a sheet of construction paper on the desk. I held a dime a few inches away from the paper, and here you can see the shadow that dime casts. The entire shadow, including the penumbra, is indeed larger than the dime itself. However, as you can see, the umbra shrinks dramatically the farther away the dime gets from the paper. This is the explanation for why the umbra of the solar eclipse is so much smaller than the actual size of the moon. It's not a perfect analog for the sizes of the sun and moon, obviously, but it very clearly demonstrates the properties of cast shadow, and it proves that the umbra can in fact be smaller than the size of the object casting the shadow. I'd like to end this video by saying that there really is no abject harm in believing that the Earth is flat. Many who attempt to debunk the flat Earth claim that what flat earthers believe is dangerous somehow, but I just can't see why. It's a pretty harmless thing to believe, as it doesn't seem to be driving anyone to violence, and I firmly believe that you should be able to think whatever you want so long as you don't use that belief to justify harming someone else. If you believe the Earth is flat, and you've made it this far into the video, well, congratulations, and I hope that at the very least I've given you some things to think about, and that you trust that I don't believe you are stupid or crazy. I hope you can trust that this video is meant to start a discussion, and not to ridicule you for your beliefs. I would love to hear what you think about this video and the arguments presented in the comments below or on Twitter. And if you don't believe that the Earth is flat, as I assume most of you watching do not, then I'd love to hear what you think about my idea that ridiculing people isn't really good for anything. I fully understand that flat earthers can be just as quick to ridicule, but as the saying goes, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I firmly believe that the last thing this world needs, whatever shape it may be, is to be divided into echo chambers any more than it is now. So thank you as always for watching and listening, and let me know what you think of this new format in the comments down below.